There's this part in the book of Exodus in which Moses is running the Israelites as a dictator. And it's a mess. Jethro, his father-in-law, comes up and says, "Moses, what are you doing? This is a mess." And then goes on to lay out a system of federalism. Hi, I'm Robert Owens, and this is Constitution Corner. I'm a former prosecutor and 20 years as a trial lawyer, and today I want to talk to you about a passion of mine, the Constitution, and the law surrounding it. And today we're going to talk about separation of powers. Now, as most Americans that have gone through public schools are aware, there is called a separation of powers in the federal government, and everybody's pretty familiar with what I will call horizontal separation of powers. That's the concept that there's a judiciary in Congress, that there's an executive department in the president, and that there is a judiciary in the Supreme Court, and that there are three separate but co-equal branches of government. I think most Americans are familiar with that concept. However, our founding fathers made sure that there was more than one separation of powers that came into play, i.e. not just a vertical separation of powers, or a horizontal separation of powers, but a vertical separation of powers. And today that's what I want to really focus on, is that vertical separation of powers, because it's a key concept that most Americans were simply not taught about in school. So when we talk about a vertical separation of powers, this is what I mean. It's that at the top, there's a federal government. In the middle, there's going to be state and then local government. And then at the bottom, there's the family level of governance of individuals. And where that comes from, and our founding fathers were very clear about this concept of what's called federalism, where we're going to separate and have separate pockets of jurisdiction for each type of government. And again, to refresh, the federal level, we're going to have that pocket of government, that jurisdiction that's limited to national levels, treaties with other countries, war and peace, those types of major issues. But certainly not policing, certainly not anything to do with homosexuality or marijuana or any of those things, because the federal government has no business in there. Then there's that state government, right? And there are things like police forces, right? That makes sense. It's good to have a sheriff. It's good to have laws against theft. That makes sense, and that's a proper role of the state government. However, things like marriage or homosexuality or use of alcohol, well, those really aren't government issues at all. The founding fathers understood those as family issues. That's how those types of issues would be resolved. And so when we talk about vertical separations and the concept of federalism, that's specifically what we're talking about. So now where did this come from, right? This concept actually came directly from Scripture, was borrowed from Scripture by our founding fathers, and they looked to Scripture for so much of the Constitution. In particular, there's this part in the book of Exodus in which Moses is running the Israelites as a dictator, and it's a mess. Jethro, his father-in-law, comes up and says, "Moses, what are you doing? This is a mess." And then goes on to lay out a system of federalism in which at the top, Moses, as the chief executive, is only dealing with the most dire national issues affecting the Israelites. And then there's going to be judges underneath, men or women or of good character and understanding that will provide a body of laws underneath that. But then basically, really at that bottom of the pyramid is going to be the broadest set of governance, and that is going to be at the family level. And it was always understood that our greatness comes from the fact that we have liberty, but we don't take license with that liberty. Right? And that was the concept that came into play. So where we talk about breakdowns in our system of government, we can look at that federalist system that our founding fathers put into play and see that there have been great deviations from it, and those deviations have caused us so many problems. freedoms. And we see that in a number of ways in which the federal government has stepped in and said, hey, we're going to be in the charity business of taking from one and giving to another, whether it be by way of federal subsidies or grant programs or whatever you want to call it. And I'm not just talking about to individuals. There's this kind of money going to corporations, all kinds of things that are totally illegitimate and outside the purview of what government should be. And of course, we have issues like of homosexuality that then permeate the state government, right? And understand, for example, this concept of homosexual marriage, there's no business of that at all in the state government. State government shouldn't be involved with marriage and homosexuality. It's a totally inappropriate use. But understand that so often people that are looking to change culture are going to try to abuse the law to bring about those changes. And we see that with the LGBT community, where they have asked the government to legitimize marriage because they want to legitimize that conduct and culture. I would say it's a totally inappropriate use of government. It's at the family level, and if somebody wants to do that in their own home, doesn't bother me. But that's the nature of freedom. Honor the Constitution by understanding it. You can go to thenewamerican.com and jbs.org for more info and more shows.